Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Vasonko. It's been, what, 2 weeks, but it's good to be back. And I'm joined by the amazing gentlemen, Mr. Mbuch and Mr. Ka. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. And thank you so much for following us throughout the week. And it's Thursday. We're just wrapping everything up. How do you feel?
Nice.
You're heading to the weekend.
Yes, but before that, I wonder what they're thinking. Okay, where has she been for these 2 weeks?
I don't want to get into that, but yeah, I don't have a choice.
But you know that naturally.
They're certainly not wondering. They're already aware.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said on Youth Dialogue yesterday, nothing changed. It's just Mrs. Jaju.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get that out of the way.
Let's get that out of the way. But like I said, thank you so much. You know, it's just something that you eventually transition into. And I think generally it's a good thing because after school, you go to university. After university, you get a job, you get your experience. Then you want to also, you know, build that partnership with somebody.
And have babies. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to get into that, but I mean,
one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Milestone events.
Exactly, but it's a good thing because at the end of the day, you know, it keeps you busy. You're managing something completely different. I just feel like it makes you more responsible as an individual because now it's not just you, but you also have a household that you need to put together. So it kind of makes you more responsible and more positive. Your mindset, you know, tends to be more positive.
Welcome to the adult
Yes,
world.
because things that you even used to take as something really big, eventually you're like, oh, I don't have the energy for this because I have a job, I have a home. So it's a good thing. And I mean, just praying for every other individual.
And I'm so the happiest
transition.
person in all this is your grandmother. As you
well, yes, my grandmother. You know, she made me cry because traditionally she raised me, so I had to pass by there before going to my dad's house. So, you know, you know how these grandmas are. You know, she had to say all the stuff because she raised me and she did really well. So for her, right now, because I got married and she's done.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Whatever, you know, she's good. She feels, you know, lightweight at this point because she's accomplished something really big. So special thanks to her, you know, for doing a good job. I know I can be strong-headed sometimes, but easygoing. What do you think?
Nice.
What do you think, my boss?
I will reserve my comments.
You will reserve your comments. Yes. Moving on, Mr. Mbuch, we take a look at the cover.
Yep.
Happiness is not dancing when the drum is good.
Happiness is.
Oh, happiness is dancing when the drum is good.
The drumming.
When the drumming is good.
Drumming is good.
Okay, happiness is dancing when the drumming is good.
Absolutely. But immediately it hits you, doesn't
it?
It
does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dancers sort of perhaps move more creatively
when the
drumming is good.
Right.
It is good. It inspires you to do all sorts of
it have to synchronize. That is
the
dance and the drum beats.
Yeah.
So if you misstep, you know, then the dancing, everything will be over. So it's important that you are in tune with the dance and everything happens, you know, in a very synchronized way. So it's about missteps. If you take the step, you know, that is the wrong step, then you have that awkwardness of a situation and it can create some other things.
Even suñu amé xew usually tegakat bi su tegut bu baax dañ dene tegakat bi ki mënut. So the dancers are not, they're not compelled to actually come on and dance because the drumming has to be that good and, you know, it has to draw your attention, give you that sense of feeling for you to come on and dance to the whole beat.
In real life, actions and reactions have to really align.
Together.
If they, you know, mismatch, then there will be consequences to that. And usually that is the case. So if you misstep, you can easily fall because of, you know, the lack of synchronization of the dance and the drumming. So these things have to really work in tandem.
That's it. And I will even push it a bit further. I think it's really telling me that to respond to, take advantage of favorable circumstances.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta dance. When the music is good, dance, because you know that it's not going to last.
It's not going to last.
At some point it
right.
will end.
Yeah.
So when circumstances are favorable,
Yeah.
make the most of it.
Yeah. It even
Whilst the iron is hot.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it even translates into international relations. For example, when countries just have a memorandum of understanding or a relationship with a certain country that is willing to give at the point because they want to be recognized at the international stage, you know, people would say, make sure to utilize them because they want to give you the funding for you to be able to do work, development projects and all of that. So I think this translates into day-to-day activities, even at the level of international relations.
Well, you can expand it into different areas,
Areas,
into
exactly.
different walks of life.
Yeah.
But basically, the essence is, you know, about timing. Timing is of the essence.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so moving on, Mr. Mbuj,
Yes,
should we
we're good. Yep.
talk current affairs? I think one that really caught my attention that I am super happy about is the new addition to the criminal code, which has to do with parental insults, the exemption of presidents, ministers, civil servants while they're on their functions. I have my reservations. You know, I see the changes in body. I have my reservations as well. But generally, over the years, 5 years, we've seen Nini the Talsen live, the Saga Ndeye Jamburi, for example. Dafa ñëw become a culture ne it's okay pour nga saga parenti jambur. So if there's something that is restricting people from doing it, I do not have a problem. What do you think?
For me, it's more about education than law, because certain things are very difficult to police, especially in this day and age.
Okay.
I mean, if you impose, you know, a penalty of it in the Gambia, somebody doing it might not necessarily be in the Gambia. They might be far away somewhere else and still doing it. So it's about, you know, attitudinal change, educating the people to have that respect. Like you and I, we don't go about swearing or insulting because we have that good home training. We are so, you know, ashamed to be saying things about, you know, parents, let alone, you know, swearing and insulting because of the home training. So it's very important. Yeah, it's good to have laws, but policing laws that are very porous
Man, I don't agree with you, Mr. Kap.
It's difficult.
I don't agree with you because man fogo man at this point attitudinal change feed na fi work at the point buñ tolu ni because ni ay magum jemalañ majority of ñu dé tal sen life di saga nit ñi fine ñu ko def ci diaspora bi dé there but locally am na ñu xam ñoo xam ne ay magum jemalañ am nañ ay family am nañ ay doom ñooñu you cannot mënuloo use any attitudinal change guys and go right now. The only thing that you can do is to have this law, even though xëy na duñ ko enforce 100%. Why the fact that it's there in extreme cases you can always use it to prosecute somebody. Man, that's what I think.
That's true. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And I support, you know, trying to end that and stop it. But what I'm saying is I'm looking at the challenges as to, you know, making it happen. And that's a reality that you must have to take into account.
Yes.
If somebody is sitting in somewhere in Denmark, UK or Sweden and doing the same thing, what have you achieved in terms of making a local law to address that issue? So what I'm saying is the proliferation of the internet and digital platforms that makes these things very challenging and difficult. We've seen it in Senegal. They're trying to do the same thing. But it's difficult. You still have them outside making
Why it's kind of working in Senegal locally. Senegal, locally, mungedo.
Okay.
Internationally.
If it works, that's fine.
Well, locally, mungedo Senegal.
Because
Senegal, because of examples being set within this period, luñ gis comme ay saga affaire ci dafa reduce because am na ñetti nit yoo xam ne des social media influencers dañ saaga ay journalists ñu tëj leen for 3 months buñ leen tëjee for 3 months di nga gis ne influencers ci seen boppa génn nañ di wax ne léegi ku fi saaga Jomaay daf laa tëj so di nga gis ne there's some sort of calmness now that they've seen ne Nogoy Kara and co have been arrested, so it's kind of working there a little bit.
This is interesting because, man, it's just the libertarian view. I do not agree even with the law.
Really?
Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words cannot really hurt me. When I'm in public office, we live in a world today. Let's be realistic about our world, social media, what it's like. I should be able to take certain indignities. It's just in the nature
No,
of
but
the
public
game.
office cannot give you license to be.
But this is the world. Whether I like it or not, this is the world. And you've talked about the difficulty in enforcing these things. That mechanism, how would it come? So in the end, it will be like all the other laws that we have, stacked and shelved somewhere. There is no capacity to enforce. It makes it meaningless. It is inert, mere words. They say the fruit of words in action. You never see that. So it's effectively null.
No, Mr. Mbodj, agree.
It can work to some extent, even if you are outside. That the fact that you may want to come back home, also can be something that can
it can bar you from saga.
To being very mindful.
You can target a few people. Why so you say the volume? What people do all the time? All you're going to do is just target a few. You're not going to have any effect.
Mr. Mbodj,
my problem in law is the definition, certain things. What do you define as insult? Legal definitions.
Saga papi jambur la, according to the code. Saga parental insult lañu wax. Saga papi jambur, saga yaay jambur. Why di nga understand ne harama explain la Mr. Mbodj dara nekku ne masses bi. ñoo nekk di taal life di saaga.
Just few people
yoo xam ne identify nañ leen ne ay saaga kat
let them rain on them, deal with them.
Exactly. Comme li nga wax ni it's perfect nga ne dafa am ñu ñoo target. That is why law bi am sax. Dafa am specific nit yoo xam ne ñoom the only thing that they do loolu mooy seen jikko dañoo taal seen life saaga nit.
Very bad.
Understand
nga nit ñi yare saaga moom
agriwuma li nga wax ne soo nekkee in public office da nga wara
you are game.
Parce que nit nga deret mooy daw sa yaram.
am thick skin.
Thick skin, I can understand.
dañ nekkati àdduna si boo xam ne mu neex la mu naxari la it's going to happen. Who are you going to get? You might get a few. Why the phenomenon? This is a phenomenon. It's there, and you are not going to make it go away. So the best you can do is adapt to it. It will never adapt to you.
No.
Yeah, but there should never be a license, and that is
why it's not a license.
No, what I'm saying, that's why a lot of people who want to go into politics, they reflect on these things.
Because
they think about the type of language, the type of attitude, and that should not be. I think it will go a long way in terms of focusing the minds of these unruly people that go about saying these things, to say that there are consequences to what you do. It might not be 100%, but then to some degree, initially my position was it's going to be difficult, and I still stand by that. But it's no harm in trying.
Senegal, mun nañ ko use as case study. Man, I follow social media so
and
well.
Senegal is working.
Dama day over, mu ngi work Senegal. It can be a case study. Depuis Nogoy Kara and co, buñ leen arresté, di nga gis ne locally, there's calm. I follow Senegalese media, social media. There's calm. Ñi nga xam ne ñooy woon the main people dañoo génn di saaga ndey. Léegi understand nañ ne ñii dañ leen téye tëj leen 3 months.
maa ngi dégg some of them like people like ñoom Madrasa ñu ngi America ñu ngi saaga.
Déedéet ñu nekk America noonu ñooñu dee gonna continue waaye comme ni nga ko waxee.
and they still reach into Senegal.
But they're not gonna come. Waaye xam nga du ñëw Senegal. So already ñoom they're affected by the fact ne. For years ku nekk bëgg nga ñibbi sa dëkk.
Absolutely.
So eventually new people of saagakat yi ko bëgg a def dinañ understand ne Sénégal laa jógee te dama faa bëgg a dem seetu suma mbokkay te dañ maa xaar si airport bi.
Let's wish them luck. We hope it works, and also nañ yar suñ nit ñi man daal loolu laa wax.
That's the point.
The bottom line is let's educate the young so that they understand that you have to have respect for yourself and respect for other people. It should start from the home, that we have that home training. All of us have that. I don't hear him swearing. I don't hear you swearing myself, because we are grounded in certain values that, are there. But there are people that are out of that norm, that zone. We have to bring them back. And education, for me, is the way forward in terms of addressing it.
But the education part, Mr. Mbodj, what do you think about it?
Education is the foundation for everything.
Why magum jema ilawa?
But what is the education? how effective is it? Are you getting the right outcomes? So it's just so very easy to say education is the key. But what is it? It's when you go into the details, that's where you see the devil. That's where you see the devil. Because when it comes to educational outcomes, we don't do as well. So let's be careful really with some of these things. Of course, education, awareness, but being cultured. What do you mean how? We all grew up here. I mean, come on, before Gen Z, there was Gen X. Life was here before any of these things. Yes.
But I don't hear you swearing. Why? Because you're cultured.
That's it. I wouldn't dare.
So that must not be underestimated in terms of impacting certain values. You know, I'm not saying there will not be a category of people that will not fall within the norm, that will be outcasts. But the majority of people, if you were a swearing population, then you would be seeing it every day. But you will have just a minority, significant minority, albeit that goes about doing that. But our homes, we are well trained.
And then you also have a certain shift. As it were, do you call it a paradigm shift? I do not know. When we were kids, I wouldn't dare swear in front of an adult. Absolutely. In our office, we see it all the time, younger kids. It doesn't occur to them that it's wrong. Another one, when we were kids, with the furniture, you wouldn't dare put your feet up. Now, everybody just does it. It seems so natural. Yeah. So there has been a shift in sensibility, in outlook. There's been a shift. Yeah. So these bigger, broader shifts, what do you do about them? That's interesting.
Why man shift bisa? Man, for example, man munuma saga. Suma dege nid saga, so it irritates me. I can't construct saga, personally. It's because
of the home training.
Musuma dega, suma mom or suma ken the saga in my surrounding. Why? So I think community sila.
They the word took. If you say that there is certain reaction that will put you back to your corner.
Yeah, say, and I'm not trying to discriminate. Sometimes community sila like I have a friend of mine that they saga. It's because of where I grew up. Not even the house, but the community. For people, then they saga. Sorry about that. But she had to be honest, ne? Her insulting because community boom yaro the fa dega
community bo hamne lolu is not accepted. I'm choice, but the am pour change because people will call and say, go bull lady saga, don't use this type of language. It makes you look so awkward.
And in fact, that awareness to community be more that is the foundation, the beginning of bring a change. So when you're not aware of it, that's the blind side, that's the danger.
Because my mom then they move, so sometimes to saga someone go, you know.
That's the challenge.
Like she becomes conscious. So yeah, so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, the newspaper review will continue to stay.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
Oryx Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Mamadou Mbouch, and our newspaper review guest, Mr. Carr. Thank you so much for joining us. So moving on Foreign newspaper, we have that CDS Cham warns soldiers against aiding drug dealers and criminals. So does this mean this is happening? He's warning them against it. Soldiers
maybe not
helping.
necessarily, you know, you
it's
can
just a
go
reminder.
that, you know, you can warn them not to be involved. As, you know, law enforcement agents, you know, these are things that they should keep the distance.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to. So they are being admonished or advised to ensure that they don't go in that direction. If any is doing it, they're advising them to stop it immediately, because there would be, you know, consequences to it. Dismissal, imprisonment, and other aspects.
Yeah, it's not just soldiers, but generally, security forces would, you know, the history is there that they have aided, you know, criminals, not just when it comes to drug trafficking, but human trafficking, you know, smuggling stuff at the airport. All of these things have been conversations.
You always have
before.
rotten apples in between, but they constitute a small minority in terms of, you know, such.
Mr. Bush?
Absolutely. So, to me, advice, you know, admonishing them and that sort of thing, they're all very good, aren't they? But really, to sort of increase your chances of compliance, you need other mechanisms to go together. They all sort of complement one another. That when somebody sort of infracts this regulation, we have systems in place where they can be detected, and then, you know, all the processes will go on. Then everybody knows that there's a system in place, and when you do things, you are likely to be caught. But when I'm in a situation where I think that I might not be caught because the systems are not there, then it's easier temptation for a lot of people.
Always
Criminals,
take chances.
People always do
that's
that,
it.
right?
That you'll be caught, you know.
So the advice is good, but it goes along with
It's beyond
B,
that,
C,
right?
D,
It's
E,
beyond
F,
that.
G, for us to have the right outcomes that we want.
It's beyond that, So moving on, the National Rice Seed Promotion Plan validated to boost local production. Man ligi Gambia ñan ñoy bay malo? Because ñun buñ nekké xalé malo was a thing
there. Private sector is a combination. There are a lot of people doing great work,
subsistence.
You know, I saw this guy that works with Sahel. I don't know, he's doing a wonderful job. And I've seen other farms also. I think, you know, there are projects that have started, and it's just very recent, and it's beginning to grow because we are becoming very conscious of, you know, producing. The emphasis have been, let's produce what we eat, and let's produce what we can export so that we can reduce the importation bill. You know, I mean, it requires.
Why successful when you say that?
No, because the scale, this is massive. It requires a lot of investments, and it also requires time. So it's not something that just happens overnight. These are 10-year kind of, you know, projects that are planned and then exhibited. But I'm sure there are a lot of activities happening in the rural area when it comes to rice production, because the emphasis have been on it for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
So also we see that Dabo is saying 2026 presidential election is a do or die.
Yeah, well, that's the salvos, the first shots of the 2026 election. It's going to be a very interesting and very exciting period for the Gambia, because presidential elections, everything hinges on them. And now all the political parties are positioning themselves. We've seen recently NPP just had a massive congress. They opened up their new headquarters. They're forging alliances. The opposition, we have not seen a lot of movement in that direction, but we've seen salvos being fired by the leader of UDP that constitute the majority in terms of the opposition. So we are waiting to see. Naturally, there will be a lot of noise. The tempo will rise in, the contradictions, the challenges. So it's going, the stage is set now. And
just as last year, we saw a lot of political parties emerge. I can't remember the figure. Was it 18?
Yeah, something like
around that.
Yeah, but they don't normally meet the threshold to go through. So
that's the thing.
As many as 1,000 can form their parties, but there are certain criteria, requirement, a minimum threshold that you have to meet in order to go to the other level. How many people made it the last time into the presidential election? Quite a few.
Then they just come up with the political party, make noise, put form an alliance, put muna penetrate. I see it as a strategy.
That's politics.
How strategy be no lack of gisi. Because the gis na you meet to turn threshold be after all of a sudden nga gis leen ñu dem ne ok dañoo dem si président bi ñu ngi NPP léegi you know because naturally soo defutee noonu then duñ la notice
but that's politics
waaw obviously
you have to raise this thing, you have to make attention towards yourself until you catch the eyes of the people that you know you're trying to so that they can invite you and say look come to our camp because they would rather have everybody in their camp than have some of staunch critics outside of their camp because it's a period that you know the most vocal, the most articulated
you can't take
have
no
to
chances.
be really paid attention to.
So what's your take on probably?
See, man, what really strikes me in all of this, I'm these nominal parties. They are parties in name only. Electorally, they are non-entities.
Wow.
They've been around for a while. They don't win anything.
They don't.
Yet, perhaps the media were partly to be blamed.
Wow.
Why is it that we latch onto their words? We create them.
The buzz.
We create the buzz.
Wow.
The people don't care about them.
They don't.
Because when it comes for them to show their loyalties, that is at the ballot box, they never choose them at all. So we amplify this sort of idea. No, are they opportunists? I'm going to have to say it. And all of these people, we create them. But in themselves, they're like balloons.
Wow.
Yeah, but sometimes it depends how articulated they can be because they can be listened to. They can latch onto certain, you know, kind of argument that can caught the attention of the people. So you can be new and be very impactful depending on, you know, how much you are punching, what weight you come up with.
Wow,
so that also marks the
beginning
of the journey as well.
I prefer doers, not talkers.
Wow, ñun as journalists,
they go together. You cannot do unless you have the power.
ñun as journalists tamit duñ mun a wax ne parti bi active wut rek dañ leen war a sideline. Xam nga duñ mun a wax loolu tamit. Foog ñu indi leen non foog ñu inclusive.
You have to be,
am nga followers yu bari 100 people la laaf toppa 2 people. We must bring you on the table.
As soon as you are registered officially.
Wow.
So this is it. Now again, we have different conceptions of what I think, as a journalist, what I should do. What I should do when I go for the concept of objectivity. Impartiality and words like that. I don't go for that. I think in every situation there are certain facts. And my reports will be partial to these facts. I wouldn't pretend that they're not there. You know, you see this fake parity. The idea is you're banner, the take sides, you're banner. That is unreal. Life is not like that. There are objective realities. Man, I represent those objective realities. People can dispute it or not. I don't do impartiality. I do objectivity.
Why?
That's true, but objectivity comes with relativity as well. That is where, you know, what is objective to you can be relatively in another mindset.
Might not be as
so
objective.
That's why that impartiality, you know, has to be there for the consumption, for the general public to be able to make that judgment
on their own without us intervening.
You have your own prejudices, your own mindset, your own, and these are the underlying things that pin your objectivity, which you may define and firmly hold on to as being objective.
I agree.
But objectivity is not relative. Objectivity is like science, universal anywhere you go. In many ways. Not so when I'm saying that something is objective, I mean, obviously, there can never be a God's eye view. All views are necessarily compromised ab initio from the beginning because of I have an embedding in a social reality.
Exactly. So you are attesting to what I have said.
But again,
it can be subjective.
But again, there is an objective element, otherwise how have we managed to achieve all of these things we've achieved in the world?
Social science will always be subjective to relativity. Social science cannot be tangible. You can only talk about some things that are tangible as being concrete when you talk about physics, chemistry, but when it comes to social science, that objectivity must have that relative term underpinning it.
No, I think that
because your prejudices as an individual, as a person, must come to play.
Relativism, I think, is a flawed idea. I am not a relativist whatsoever. I'm a universalist. I think that relativism is just not true.
It's not true. But anyway, I just feel like as a media house, we have to give a voice to everybody, and that's what we've been doing.
Any media house.
Any media house. Wow, any media house. Sometimes,
but then they have to be registered.
They
have
yes,
to be,
as long as they are
official,
registered.
they have to be all those things. They
We
have to
need
meet.
to.
Then we recognize
the
them
moment,
as being,
yes.
players.
For example, there are parties we know ne fall in the category bu Mr. Mbojua.
Oh, yeah,
why they
we know
registered?
that, yeah,
Fuck
we
you
know
in the
that.
land. Fuck guy wah.
Because they will, even the IEC will have to receive them.
Exactly. So
you have
we
to
have to
we
interview them.
have seen one
we
or
cannot
two
ignore
people
them.
just going with 2, 3 people going to.
Exactly.
But what we are saying is let the criteria be serious,
Wow.
so that they can win out those that are pretenders.
Exactly.
They're not serious players. They just want to be attention seekers and to be known. But once they get there to the IEC and the threshold is tested, most of them will just be.
Bepare mansa, dama feel ne best nomination su jote waruñ they allow hej na bu dee 100 political parties ñoo register ñoom dañ war a am seen preliminaries buñ def bi nga xam ne génnee nañ all those bad ones su ko defee nobody's time is wasted. I'm
sure they have those. They must have a mechanism.
I doubt that because last time majority of ñu fa ñëwoon did not meet the threshold. At the end, few rek la woon.
But they have an open door policy where you have to come and register your colors, you have to register the numbers. So that has to be in the public domain so that it will be seen to be fair. So I think that is fair enough. If they can do it, let them just do it in the interest of public, scrutiny and public transparency.
Yeah.
So let them be.
Yeah, so I think that is all we have time for. It's 9:54. Thank you so much.
But just invites me to
debate, in a public debate. But thank you so much for joining us.
You've come alive now, you see.
Yeah, you talked about it. You talked about that. So we will just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a look at how the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has now integrated Madrasa education into the Gambia's education system. We'll be right back.
Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Kiusel moy suñu boss. Suru. Go. Ebe dawa full network suda tili. Kiusel. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. Kiusel. Most reliable network jumala geta wati. Kiusel. Wo quality man nyon soda jam pona manke Kiusel. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria. Kiusel suñu boss. Yo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Suñu boss. Itela follow adi doron nesa keno. Suñu boss. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele Kiusel. Suñu boss. Ko fasunta buka busi Kiusel. Suñu boss. Itela molti milka kukutol nati Gambia Kiusel meta lori la kiliano liele imanyina amanda wala itela ka quality dila dadi ma itele silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. Kiusel suñu boss. Kiusel suñu boss. Kiusel suñu boss. Kiusel suñu boss. Connection be bambandi Kiusel suñu boss. Kiusel most innovative Kiusel suñu boss.
Kiumoni arti webi na fitoragol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi Kiumoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuudi maɗin e o Kiumoni app kesong a wawa nattinde mbuudi maɗum yaltina soda credit soda kiw paba soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ida wawi kadi nuldude Kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuudi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuudi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store maɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu Kiumoni customer care e 133 Kiumoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki Kiumoni e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app sone yaringo alanna yata ndum e se kuwol be keno ibe dawoda wati o wati e se munafanno ila kodola anin Kiumoni la ñim mobile app kuto e se kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde e se credit ko sanno ye Kiw power sang ye fengol sang ndum fanan e se mol jono anin ku jamalu e se Kiumoni kino yela bilol jo ndum fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno e se kodo fanan kino do kotenge pour que munafanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kusenango sotoje Kiumoni customer care commandi 133 Kiumoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma
Taking a break isn't about stopping. It's about recharging for the next stage. Welcome to our oasis.
Powered by Africa, Oris Energies.
Q-Money Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Q-Money mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q-Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Q-Money fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now, Mr. Mboch, we're shifting our attention to the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has officially integrated Madrasa education into Gambia's mainstream education system. And it was a colorful ceremony at the Sadauda Jawara Conference Center attended by the President of the Republic of the Gambia and other international representatives, and huge milestone for the first time in the Gambia. Amazing.
Absolutely. Great, fantastic idea. And for me, I remember some years back listening to the Emir of Kano when he was central bank governor in Nigeria. Brilliant man. He said for a very long time, Nigerian education system, because of the north, they had a slightly different one. They were never integrated. So in the event, it caused this rift, as it were, between the north and the
because
rest
of the lack of inclusiveness.
Education. Absolutely. So a fantastic idea. I just did, that
wanted
example just came back to my mind. That's how you integrate them, not separate them. Fantastic idea.
So now we're joined by Usman Jah, the representative of the Islamic Education Secretariat and DPS at the Ministry of Higher Education Technical. Thank you so much for joining us on the program to have this discussion with us. So you came here the last time. At that time, it was not officially integrated. And at that time, it's just work being put together, arranged, and now finally, this significant milestone has been reached. What should we look forward to now? All the technicalities have been explained the last time when you came. So now, the actual work starts after that colorful ceremony. It's just one thing. Now, moving on, what is the work that's happening in the background towards the actual implementation?
Thank you very much. The Gambia Madrasa integration strategy, it's part of the bigger program developed by the ministry, which is called the Higher Education Transformation Program. It is currently being funded by the World Bank through the RISE project. When we say RISE, we mean the resilience, inclusion, skills, and equity. It speaks for itself. In the past, we have this big gap between the formal education, what we call formal education, even though madrasa is another kind of formal education. But then there was this gap that the strategy intends to bridge so that there is equity, equal access to the country's resources. If you are the launching, the president made a very wonderful speech, both in English and Mandinka. Very impressive. I mean, that is to say, when we say we are independent, it means also that the country's resources should be accessible to all its citizens. In the past, we have madrasa graduates. The best they could be are imams, ustazis, and
Islamic studies teachers.
Yes, and at most also they become qadis in courts now. What the objective is to make sure that an imam could also be a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer. So what we intend to do now, it's clearly spelled out in the strategy, is when we say integration, is the madrasa has a very efficient system. But they were not able to transit into tertiary and higher education. To be able to do programs in engineering, for instance, or in other STEM fields. Now, being in the madrasa will no longer stop you from becoming a medical doctor. That's the idea. We have programs designed to ensure that right from the madrasa, they're able to go to the University of the Gambia to do medicine. They're able to go to USET to study engineering.
So my point now is, obviously, to go to the University of the Gambia, there are requirements that exist. Maths, English, in 5 credits, 6 credits. So how's that? The requirements, how are you going to organize? Are you going to have special requirements for them to transition, or how is it going to be?
It's the other way around. Is to align their existing curriculum with the national education standards. So there is going to be a curriculum review of the madrasa.
Great.
When we say curriculum review, we are not changing the madrasa curriculum. Basically, we are trying to ensure that their instruction is able to be at par with the other formal education settings, so that they are able to meet the English language qualifications. The maths, because the madrasas are also doing maths.
They are.
I think they call it hizab. They are doing science. They call it ulum. But we are adding issues like TVET
into it.
You know, so the idea is to refine the curriculum, align it with the national education standards, to integrate, to improve the STEM education at the madrasa level, and then, of course, the TVET, and provide teacher training. It's a host of programs that are designed to address this gap. But the end game is that they are able to meet the requirements to go to university.
All right, Mr. Mboj.
Yes, so now, Imam.
Yes.
So for Meliki, is it the mainstreaming of Islamic education? Imam?
First, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Mr. Mboj, am nañ mbégte lool pour ngeen invite ñu ci programme bi. Di nuyu suñu collègue DPS bu higher education. Balaa ma commencé wax nag damay express suma appreciation and happiness ci step bi nga xam ne higher education present higher education jël nañu ko. Mu mel ni Gambia dafa commencé di ñor. Réew moo gis réew dafa mel ni xale bu juddu bees dafay màgga. So réew mi mu ngi commencé even ñi jàng anglais English soo jàngee hut England dafay mel ni ameehuloo jànguloo dara. Maanaam boobu moo doon dafa mel ni foofu rek daal lañ war a jàngee. Soo jàngee Amérique sax amuloo level yi ki jàngee England duñ la recognize. Maanaam ñi jàngee Russia même soo fa defee médecine duñ la jox respect comme respect bi ñuy jox ki jàngee England. Loolu yëpp Gambie romb na ci. Romb na ñi tam rawatina ku jàngee ci arab yi. For example man exemple laa boo xam ne kuñ waroon di jël laa ci mbir yi su jotee. Man maa ngi njëkk a def electrical engineering moom laa njëkk a def. Man am an engineer ci electricity. 3 years laa ko def Libya. Maa ngi graduate 1981. Dama agsi ca ëllëg sa la ku koy Samba Sagnang ku def coup d'état. Bi mu jeexee ñu employ ma yóbbu ma PWD Public Works as an engineer. Ñu ne ma yow daily paid lañ lay fay. Recognize suñ suma certificate bi te dama jeexal ak distinction laa ñëwee. Dama meloo ni duma ci wàllu mbiru électricité. So ñu jàpp ma ne comme que arabe yi laa ko jàngee duuma dara. So ñu di ma fay daily paid. Ma gis càcc gu fa ne tax ma resign. ci laa dem defi Islamic education loolu moo ma yóbbu Saudi ma dem defi Islamic education specialised ci sharia ba door a ñëwaat ok kon loolu mu mel ni Gambie mu ngi yéeg soo jëlee tey professeur docteur Omar Dia foogu ma ne am na ku ko fi njëkk a indi PhD ci Gambie te dafa def Égypte la jàng ba pare waaye mu nga defee PhD Canada waaye dégg bi mu dégg arab even ba tey jii sax Gambie seen ñor gi àggagu fa ndem dégg nga arab rek dañ la catégorise ci dañ la marginalise su eboo sax nga gën a dégg English ki jàng English waaye ndem ustaas nga rek maanaam dañuy wax ne kii ustaas la jàkka ji maanaam daal dañ la marginalise waaye nag jéego bii dafa mel ni suñ bëti ñu ngi ko xippi fi ñu toll nii pour gis ne ñun even liñ fonka moomuñu ko ñun liñ am mooy mandinka wolof pël yii lañ am so English du suñ language dafa ñëw arabic noonu French noonu so language boo ci xam ne mun nañ koo jëfandikoo pour ñu mun a yóbbu suñ réew ci kanam language boobu dañ ko war a fonka te waruñoo jël benn language teg ko ci beneen bi so loolu nag moom la Gambie commencé gis ñi jéego biñ seqi tey du tey la tàmbali ci ñook secteur bii di Islamic ak Arabic education tàmbali nañ ko some years back bi nga xamee ne fexe nañ ba ñu dugal ci suñ système bi maths ak English ak science bi nga xam ne moom la Gambie di jànga bokkut ak ñun ba ñuy jànga pour mën a enable nit ki nga xam ne jógee na madrasa mu man duggi University of the Gambia direct fi ne there are now many products yoo xam ne ñu ngi ci biir réew mi ñoo xam ne ñu ngi génnee ci madrasa dugg University of the Gambia ba pare génn sa nekk leneen ci réew mi fi ñu toll nii te duñ leen ticcaat beneen subject dañuy génn ci madrasa mën a dugg ngir indiwaale nañ requirements yi nga xam ne moom lañ mën a duggee ci University of the Gambia so su boobaa jéego bii nga xam ne moom la higher education seqi with the support of His Excellency the President dama foog ne lu ñor la loo xam ne Gambia ngi door a gis boppam mu ngi door a xam boppam mu ngi door a xam ne képp kuy Gambian citizen rek yow da nga am àq ba pare am nga responsibility pour ngay def lii yóbbu réew mi ci kanam lii développe réew mi so loolu mooy suma kàddu bi ma bëggoon a tàmbalee ma gis ne nag intégration bi definitely du ma mun a wax ne yéex na waaye ñëw na ci time am ci jamono boo xamee ne madrasa bi fi toll nii dafaa dem maanaam suñ ko dimbalee mu dem suñ ko dimbaliwul dafaa dem fi ne nii because système u Gambie moo demee noonu ñun niroohu ñoo ci réew yi ñu wër benn système fenn ci many aspects soo ñëwee ci judiciary for example liñ am amul benn réew bu ko fi am because suñ loo bi ñetti loi la ñu defal dañoo am suñ loo bi nga xam ne moom la ñëpp di toppa am sharia law ba pare am traditional law te yëpp dafa fonction nga gis sharia law bi naka la contribuer ci dimbale justice ci réew mi ak indi jàmm ci réew mi ndax soo ñëwee ci xëccoo yi xew ci diggante Gambien si ci biir réew mi dafa bare lool loolu yëpp mu ngi mooy family lépp lu aju ci family life ñu ngi ko jox sharia law bi te ñu ngi def very 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 good job ci buntu boobu te lépp Gambia la rek te bu demoon ca bële it li bëgg mooy indi jàmm bu demee ci biir li bëgg mooy indi jàmm soo liggéey boobu itam mu ngi dox bu baax a baax waaye benn bu ci ne nag am na hitches am na sometimes am na yu manqué yoo xam ne xam naa réew mi incha allah dina yeewu ba lu nekk ñu yóbbu ko fi mu war a àgg.
Yeah, so DPS, is there a timeline? Is there a timeline to ensure that the teachers are trained, the actual curriculum review has taken place, and everything is functioning as normal? Is there a timeline towards that?
Yes, the strategy is 5-year strategy up to 2029. Like I said earlier, we are focusing on aligning the curriculum so that it's at the same standards with the Western style education, but also we are able to pilot at least 12 schools, 12 madrasa schools to use as pilot cases. What our able Ustaz and Imam said is that it's relevant, given that in the past you have outliers, where you have individual cases where they will excel no matter how constricted the system is. But now the idea is to break down all the barriers so that everyone in the country, wherever you are, whichever education stream you decide to be, you are not limited because of your choice of education system that you choose to adopt. So we are also going to focus on infrastructure development, which is providing laboratories in the madrasas. That's one of the strategy, and there's workshops. And then the other focus actually is on sustainable financing, so that these interventions are sustained beyond the current scope, beyond the current funding availability. There is what they call in the GMIS, the Islamic Estate Waqf. Maybe my brother can elaborate further on that. It's a sustainable mechanism where you have development partners or philanthropists could fund a particular infrastructure project that continually generates income to support these interventions beyond the current scope of funding available. So we also have teacher training and capacity building for these madrasas teachers, so that they are also able to improve the quality. Because in the normal English system, we have continuous teacher training and capacity development initiative. So these same programs are going to be extended to the madrasa level. So the bottom line is we're going to break all the barriers and make sure that there is no difference now between who is in the English school and who is in the madrasa school. Every Gambian should have the opportunity to learn and succeed.
And all of them are going to be supplied with teachers from the Ministry of Higher Education?
Yes, the ministry is already championing teacher training. You might have heard of the transformation at the University of Education, formerly Gambia College.
Now the University of
Education.
Now
the University of Education will soon start offering degree programs in a variety of teacher training fields.
And they will be sent to the madrasas and the other schools as normal? No differentiation?
No differentiation.
Okay, then that's
so the strategy is we'll be working with our partners at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, because mainly from primary up to from nursery, or they call it ECD, up to...
It must be all inclusive.
Up to senior school, it's all basics domain. But for us, our focus is mainly on the post-secondary. But in this strategy, we will be working together.
You must, if not.
We will definitely be working together. Or let me say, we'll continue to work together.
Yes.
We are already
working
together.
Mr. Mboch?
Yes, for me here, even though the whole exercise, we call it integration, but I can't help but think, how is it different from assimilation? I hope that you didn't have one assimilating, absorbing the other. So how is this sort of dual track, is that what they call it, kind of education system? So I just wanted to touch on this, and Imam, I would love to hear your views on integration and assimilation. How do we sort of police the border line, as it were?
Very good.
What do you think, Imam?
Definitely, integration doesn't mean that you wipe off Arabic system and their curriculum. waaye dafa am needed subjects yoo xam ne is needed by all students in the Gambia, whether they learn Arabic or English, if they want to how to call it, su fekkee dañoo bëgg a def seen quota ci national development. ñëpp xam nañ ne English, maths, science yii dafa they are very crucial ci li yóbbu réew mi. yooyu commencé woon na waaye du tere subjects yi nga xam ne moo taxoon ñu tuddee madrasa ñu tuddee ko madrasa yooyu ba tey dafa continuer. For example tey di nga def Quranic memorization, di nga def tafsir al-Quran al-Karim, for example translation of Holy Quran, di nga def hadith, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, da nga def Islamic jurisprudence, dégg nga ak principles of Islamic jurisprudence, dégg nga ba pare da nga def itam Arabic literature, for example, and all how to call subjects related to Arabic literature. yooyu yëpp ba tey dafa remain. Yes, comme xam nga comme que njàng moom sometimes yenn level soo fa àggee da ngaa select yan subject nga bëgga. loolu moo tax da nga gis ne soo jógee ci primary foofa affaire bi duggagu fa bu baax yow yaa ngi de pure Arabic Islamic Arabic education. soo demee ba junior secondary affaire bi start nga ñu commencé di introduce la English language, nga am mathematics bi nga xam ne moom la ñuy jàng fii ci Gambia. ba pare government provide teachers yoo xam ne ñoo leen di pompe ci madrasa si ba pare di leen fay. fi ne nii 30% of our teachers ñu ngi enjoy subvention bi nga xam ne moo jógee ci government te ñun 17.3% lañ ci total number of teachers in the Gambia. xam nga loolu high kile la soo ñëwee ci ñun suñ percentage itam mut na 20% of the total enrollment ci 2024-2025 ci Gambia from junior secondary to senior secondary. so waaye loolu nga xam ne moom la government di def maanaam di train ay teachers ci subjects yi ba pare pompe leen ci madrasa ba pare di leen fay ñoom ñuy jàngal ñi loolu dafa indi tub bu am solo ci madrasa bi. loolu moo enable ñu baratee ñu nekk ci madrasa bi nga xam ne mun nañoo génn ci madrasa senior secondary straight nga dem University of the Gambia without nga jaar feneen. waaye da nga mel ni loolu nag dafaa jox ki jàng madrasa dafaa def moo effort moom mooy gën a sonna ni kii nekk ci school bu dul madrasa because moom moo niit dafa bugg a parallèle ki curriculum la moo yóbbuwaale dafaa yóbbu bi so noonu la mbir mi demee. so it doesn't mean at all ne dañu bugg a néewloo doole madrasa wala dañ ko bugg a génne déedéet waaye réew mi ñoo dem ba gis ne madrasa bi definitely mun naa contribute ci nation development te citizen lañ te ñeneen ñi enjoy li ñuy enjoy waruñ leen cee gën a ay soo ñu ne naka la ñuy yaatalee mbir mi ba nga xam ne ñëpp danañ ci mën a jëriñoo noonu la mbir mi demee waaw waaye miinut a tool ne dañoo bugg a eliminate njàngam Islamic Arabic never ever.
That's it. maa ngi doon bëgg a laaj aussi lanay nekk the language of instruction then it occurred to me from li ma dégg xëy na léegi dañoo am the languages of instruction.
waaw more than one.
so ñaari yëpp
Arabic and English simultaneously.
te loolu xam nga ndem yaa ngi am islamique rek am non islamique rek te suñ ne non islamique sax doesn't mean another religion waaye nature Gambia réew mu ne dafa am nature boo xam ne moom la moo demee te nature bi dafa tàmbali ca colonialiste ya foofu la tàmbalee bi nga xam ne muslim elders yi nekk Banjul ñoom ñoo gis ne definitely dañoo bugg a colonialiste yi consider seen feeling seen culture seen religion ñu ñaan leen loolu ñu may leen ko loolu moo ñu fi indil kaadi code si for example te kaadi code ki jànga ki génnee madrasa rek moom mun a nekk kaadi code waaye ci système bii nga xam ne moom la higher education di demee danañu dem ba nga xam ne ku jeexalee University of the Gambia da nga mun a nekki kaadi code.
even though demaloo through the madrasa education.
yes even though because ñoom fi ne nii ñu ngi am ñoom itam ci University of the Gambia ñu ngi am ñu ngi am Islamic education. ñu ngi ko fa am. boo xam ne teachers yaa ngi fa ñoo xam ne dañoo génne ci ay PhD holders. jàng ci réewi naar yi ba ñëw di jàngal ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk ci université bi. so mën nañ leen a jàngal ba nga xam ne mun ngaa ñëw di nekk kaadi ko te déggoo arab. Nigeria fi ne foofu lañ toll. Nigeria dem nañ ba nga xam ne fi ne nit mun naa jàng arab ba pare nekk sax chief justice. of the Gambia. te yow arabic nga jàng waaye mun nga angale. subject liñ soxla pour nga xam ko ba mun ngaa nekk anybody. so kii mun naa nekk lii kii mun naa nekk lii. ñii
so dafa mel ni discrimination amul si both sides.
waaw foofu loolu
yow mi jàng angal you can do this and kii
ñu ngi éeg nag àggaguñ. waaye ñu ngi éegin bu baax. te jéego bii nga xam ne moom la higher education jël definitely dafa nekk bu baax a baax boo xam ne xam naa ne suñu yàlla dimbalee balaaw fileeg 2030 defe naa boor yooyu. incha allahu taala dinañ achieve more goals of yi nga xam ne moom lañ bëgg a ñu mun koo achieve ci réew mi. te da nga gis ne ñiy jàng arabique itam dañ ci kontaan lool. dañoo kontaan ci lii. because ñoom itam dañoo bëgg a gis seen boppa ci li yóbbu réew mi. nga xam ne da ngay di ministre sangam. madrasa sangam la génnee for example. yes
dina indi competition sa ñoom si seen biir. they will compete among each other
nga mun a nekk anybody. te am nañ ci ay elements yoo xam ne yu remarkable elements yoo xam ne ñu ngi ci biir système bi ñoo xam ne madrasa lañ jàng dem ci réewi arab yi jàng ba graduate am PhD ba pare nekk ay ministres ak everything am nañ ko ci biir système bi. oh yes so kon ñii seen jéego bi defe ne dañuy ñaan yàlla. yàlla dimbale leen fi ñu bëgg mu àgg mu àgg.
So Mr. Much.
Finally, DPS, yes. I would love to know, with this proposal, the policy, was there any resistance?
No. There were
any misgivings about the whole concept. What was the debate like? It would be interesting to know.
Okay, we used a systematic approach. First, we hired a consultant who conducted the study, visited, I think, more than 70 madrasa senior schools across the country, had interviews with more than 900 students, and he has also had very detailed stakeholder engagements across the Islamic madrasa education system, and the inside government and other relevant stakeholders. So our approach is such that we didn't encounter any significant resistance. It was.
You added there any significant resistance?
Because there must be any little. Yeah.
Journalists would always speak a word.
Yeah.
But it was a good one. We had a very good experience, definitely.
waaw xam naa foofu moom amaana daf ci liggéey bu rëy xam nga toujours ñi nga xam ne dañoo jàng Islamic and Arabic education ci bu njëkk duñ dee trust xalaat yi di ñëw ni dañ ci dee ñaaw njorta ne ñii dañoo bëgg a éliminer Islamic nangam Arabic nangam na loolu du ne dafa free of maanaam the nation is free of that kind of thinking. No, there is. waaye dañoo xaw a succeed ci naka la ñuy def ba yooyu ñu mun ko naka lañ ko tuddee ñu mun ko ut barrières ba nga xam ne yooyu du mun a pénétrer xalaat bi ci biñ taxawalee amaana dafa yàgg a taxaw te amaana dafa liggéey mbagg ak mbagg loxoog loxo ak ministre of basic education léegi ak higher education so liggéey bu yàgg boobu ak toog bu yàgg boobu waxtaan yu yàgg yooyu tax na fi ne nii amaana understand na bu baax a baax lan la government namm ci lii mu bugg a def si nii ci ne dëgg-dëgg nammut pour éliminer leen waaye daf leen bugg a tabaxaat defar leen ba nga xam ne di nga mun a jëriñ fii mun a jëriñ fii yes so loolu nag ci la bu njëkk daan na am lenn si ñun ñoo xam ne dañ dee am façon ngi xalaat bi na ñi seen mbir óorut dañu bugg a def nii dañu bugg a def nii waaye fi ne alhamdulilah rabbil alamina amaana liggéey na ci liggéey bu am solo ba nga xam ne loolu feeñatut fenn te ñëpp fi ne nii accept nañ ko alhamdulilah rabbil alamina xam naa su amee it ku ko am dafa des ci sa biir waaye nekkatul loo xam ne dafa
prominent
waaw dafa prominent.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program and it's a 5-year strategic plan. Absolutely. So obviously as journalists we have a role to follow up on it, ask the questions and make sure, especially with the pilot, 12 schools, right? 12 schools. And special thanks to the World Bank. I think sometimes we fail to also thank partners. I know, but you know, with this RISE project, I see a lot of positive things happening, particularly this Madrasa integration. So we'll follow up on the happenings, inshallah.
And thanks to the consultant. We had a very good consultant.
Yes.
Dr. Mohammed Hassan Loom. He's extremely passionate about this.
Definitely.
Yes.
And
definitely.
he did a very good job.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he came on the show and we had a conversation with him. That is how we were able to understand the whole process.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can attest to that as well. Yeah. So that is all we have time for, Mr. Mboj.
That's it.
Are you gonna go get a coffee, tea?
Of course. First coffee and then start my work on the African News Round.
Yeah, that's your little baby.
But that's it for the week.
That's it for the week. Yes, that is it for the week. So next week, inshallah, more topics that will be happening over the weekend that we will bring. And the Day of the African Child is on Monday, so it's particularly something that we will be taking a look at on Monday. And this year's team has to do with financing, allowing allowing children to sit on the table where the financing is being done. Because when you take a look at the budget, well, they have...
I'm not so sure
I know
that.
You were not going to agree with... I know. You weren't going to agree with me on this.
We'll listen to you.
We will
listen.
Yeah, but listen. Let's just listen. It's not even about the fact ne ñun ñoy wax ne xaalis bi dugal len ko fi def len ko fi de. Why all that is being said is déglu bi. And then that sense of involvement, and that brings about them being responsible people when they grow. What do you think? I know you don't believe in all of these.
Parents and I'm of old school.
Okay.
Nearing one pull xalel ti meeting bi.
Wow.
Pull ma def li nek in their interest suñ dom lañ.
Lolu
So this literal mindedness that
Mr.
I need to have a young person, whatever, at the table.
It's,
otherwise we
Mr.
wouldn't do things in their interest. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Moving on.
Moving
on. Legi dañ ne intergenerational dialogue. Léegi loolu lañ gëm soo gisee ñu ne intergenerational dialogue time dafa change ndaw yi léegi aware nañ internet bank fi yeneen ak yeneen facilities xam nañ lan mooy revolve around ñoom ñun ñoo ko yëg ñun ñoo ko dunda soo bëgg nañoo toog a mag yi déglu leen waaye bëgg nañoo toog toog lañ bëgg rek ñun nañ toog déglu
waaye nañ yëg ne ndaw lañ nag
man xamoon naa ne imam daal du side
non ankay danga ma understand de xam nga dafa am benn réalité bu ñu war a d'accord itam yes dañoo war a encourage ndaw yi yes dañ leen war a nàmm seen xel yi di pour ñu seen xel yi sut leen loolu man d'accord naa ci 100% waaye nekkuñ di seen rang ak mag ñi
nangu naa ko
so foofu rek laay waxee maanaam na ndaw yi xam ne ndaw lañ mag ñi koy defi nañ xam ne ñii ndaw lañ
ñu boole
waaw meaning ne ñor nit gis nga il faut ñu understand ni yàlla defaree doomu aadama
waaw
gis nga nit di màggee di seen xel noonu la
waaw
bi nga màgg da ngay tëdd ba mu yàgg nga mën a toog ba mu yàgg nga mën a taxaw ba mu yàgg nga mën a daw
waaw
sa xel mi di same thing noonu la dee màggee soo di same thing am na xel su màggee te àggagut kooku doo ko jox fuul xel doo soo jëflante moom doo jëflante moom comme ku amee fuul xel
dëgg
waaw soo foofu rek laay call attention
waaye am na yoo xam ne ñun tey apply na si ñun man maa ngi koo xalaatee Mr. Mbodj xalaatee wu ko so Mr. Mbodj mi nga xam ne mut na ma papa su toogee mu wax ma man tam ma ne ko man de lii laa fa soo ko boolee
kay dañ leen war a déglu.
waaw déglu leen ñu rek.
dañ leen war a déglu suñ leen déglu sax duñ xam naka lañ dee. nit soo munta read maayinam.
waaw
doo xam nooy jëflante moom.
exactly ñun loolu rek la ñoo laaj. a seat on the table.
okay
wow. Yeah, but thank you so much. Till next week, inshallah. Another set of interesting programs will come your way. Bye for now.